Generation Z is often considered the most diverse generation in human history in terms of sexual orientation, ethnicity, personal interests, and many others. This high level of diversity often makes it difficult to pin down the entire generation on one commonality or influence. However, we can still do things like that, except it will be hard, as I just said. After doing much research, I came to an unsettling conclusion as to what this commonality may be. The great voice of Generation Z lies in the heart of mental health issues. Before we start, I want to make it clear that we are probably going to see a lot of the American Psychological Association in this video because they're quite good, because they're the American Psychological Association. They're good at this stuff, so their data is, of course, reliable. Before we can define specific causes, we need to review the definition of three key terms: depression, anxiety, and stress. Let's start with depression. Depression is an emotional disorder that causes persistent feelings of sadness and loss of interest in activities and in general life. If left untreated, it can result in suicidal thoughts. Next, let's cover stress. Stress is the feeling of emotional or physical tension caused by environmental or chemical factors. Stress in moderate amounts can be healthy for us in a few ways, for instance, to help push us to meet a deadline or to stay out of danger. Finally, we have anxiety. Anxiety is the natural biological response to stress, and just like stress, moderate amounts of anxiety can help us stay alive in dangerous situations. Excessive anxiety, to the point where it interferes with everyday life, is commonly referred to as an anxiety disorder, and is caused by the overabundance of adrenaline in the bloodstream. Now that we've reviewed stress, anxiety, and depression, it's time to look at some data. Unfortunately, mental health issues do appear to be on the rise in Generation Z, with about 45% of Generation Z members reporting very good or excellent mental health in the American Psychological Association's 2018 Stress in America report, compared to 56% of millennials, 51% of Generation X, 70% of boomers, and 74% of adults over the age of 73. So you can see the trend of the mental health just getting worse and worse as less people are happy. On top of worsening mental health, nervous feelings are becoming more rampant. A survey conducted in the fall of 2018 revealed 36% of teenage girls and 23% of teenage boys felt tense or nervous just about every day. Now keep the definition of those three words and the data we just looked at in mind as we look at some specific causes as to why mental health in Generation Z is on the decline. For the sake of simplicity, the causes will be separated into categories, which will be named as we talk about each of them. With that in mind, let's talk about our first category, fear of the future. Yes, it would appear that a fear of the future is becoming more and more common amongst American Generation Z members. According to the American Psychological Association's 12th Annual Stress in America report, about 68% of Generation Z is afraid of the future of the country they live in, which is the United States of America. So that's the first thing, a fear of the future. Our second category is environmental concerns. A recent Future of Humanity survey of over 10,000 Generation Z members from across 22 countries revealed that approximately 41% of the generation believes global warming to be the most important global issue we face today, and that it also found 31% of participants cited air pollution and 41% cited ocean pollution as major global issues. Not the most important, but way up there. So it would appear that the environment is another big deal to Generation Z members. Second part. Our third category is headline and news issues. The American Psychological Association's 2018 Stress in America report found that Approximately 53% of Generation Z is stressed about widespread sexual assault, 55% is stressed about the political climate, and 57% is stressed about the deportation of immigrants. Finally, our fourth category is social pressure. The APA's, American Psychological Association's, studies point most strongly towards having a lot of low-level friendships with people over social media, high levels of loneliness, and the ubiquity of low self-esteem and negative comparisons to be reasons why people are so depressed, is because they think, I need to be really perfect or I'm going to be nothing at all. They have that ultimatum type thinking going on. Not to mention how important it is to look good nowadays and fit in. Those are also really big reasons as to why socially there's a big problem here. So with all the depression, anxiety, and stress going on nowadays, how can sufferers help alleviate their symptoms? Let's talk about that. Treating stress and anxiety are both pretty similar tasks, unlike depression, so these are going to be our two categories: stress and anxiety and depression relief. To alleviate one's feelings of stress and anxiety, they can do a number of things to help bring it down to a tolerable level. These include exercising, reducing their caffeine intake, taking supplements, listening to relaxing music, doing yoga, and taking deep breaths. But if these aren't enough, you might have to incorporate some prescription medications such as Celexa, Prozac, Luvox, Zoloft, and Paxil, all which may bring it down if used in tandem with those other methods we just talked about, with exercising and all that. Depression treatments vary in a couple ways from stress and anxiety, but one thing that stays the same are medications. Antidepressants like Celexa, Lexapro, and Prozac we all discussed just last slide, and the other things. You can also have different therapies for depression to help understand why it's happening, like cognitive behavioral therapy, talk therapy, or interpersonal therapy. These are all well-known and well-effective means for lowering your depression. As we can clearly see, the causes for stress, depression, and anxiety are all pretty diverse as well, from environmental concerns to a fear of the future to the political climate. It's all very diverse. There's not one easy way to categorize it, except there is, and we can do it in one word. That word is uncertainty. So what do I mean by uncertainty? Well, when you look at the data, it becomes very clear that uncertainty is a big part of each of them. From being uncertain about the future of our country, whether for the environmental distress our nation is going through, the day-to-day life of people who are socially anxious in various ways, the political climate currently of our nation as we know it, there are many different ways in which there's a strong feeling of uncertainty. I don't know what to expect in day-to-day life anymore because everything is just so unsettling. Everything is stressful. I'm stressed, I'm very anxious, and all that just fits together into that one word, uncertainty. So in conclusion, Generation Z is one of the most diverse generations in human history, but so are its stressors. From environmental concerns to gun control to the political climate, there's a lot of stressors, and they're very diverse. As Generation Z leads us into the future, they also need to lead us to a more certain, less stressful future. And that's all we can hope for at the end of the day. See you later. So that's my documentary about Generation Z. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Here's some sources floating by somewhere. I don't know, maybe some special thanks? Probably not. I'm just recording this now, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I hope you enjoyed. Once again, see ya. And that's pretty much it. Bye.